I don't see the, oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay, so we're good?
We're good.
Okay, I'd like to call to order Lower Saucon Township Council meeting. Today's date is Monday, January 6th, and I'd like to welcome everyone and wish you a Happy New Year. And I wanted to write something, and I just, in my head, I just want to say thank you. I didn't turn that on. Did everybody hear me?
Still can't.
What's that?
It's still
Not really picking you up.
Still not picking me up.
There you go. You have to move it
Okay.
closer to you.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Happy New Year. And I just want to thank you for coming in this weather especially, but I also want to reflect back on last year and just thank all of you for coming to our meetings despite whatever we had to deal with, and you still came and you provided comment whether we liked it or not. There was a comment period, and you were here offering your comments. And I have to say that I'm very also pleased that we settled, I'll call it lots of litigation. And we were able to get back with the library as of January 1st. And we have on the agenda the compost center, which needs to be finalized. So I'm very pleased that we were able to do that for our residents, because that was one of the things that we ran on with the council majority. And so I'm very pleased that that happened. So with that, I'm going to move on with the meeting. Can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes, here.
Mr. Benonis? Mr. Carucci, not here. Ms. Altough-Cordero?
Here.
Ms. Ray?
Here.
Also present is Stacy Workeiser, Administrative Assistant, Steve Gutouzian, Township Solicitor, and Samuel Van Norman, our Junior Councilperson.
And I also want to say the time is 6:35.
Yes, before we go any further, just for the purposes of where we are right now, at least on my phone or computer, it says it's 6:37. Mr. Croce and Mr. Benonis are not here. And I'd ask of Ms. Gorman, did you receive any indication that they would be running late or there were traffic issues or otherwise?
No, I did not.
Have you ever received any communication one way or another, whether they would be coming or not coming? And when I say they, I mean Mr. Benonis or Mr. Croce would be coming or not coming?
They did not indicate either way.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Kathy. Okay, so I guess we did the roll call, and can we all stand and pledge the flag? Pledge allegiance.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on, we have a public comment procedure. You have a right to be here, but you do not have a right to be disrespectful. Please act accordingly. No disruptive behavior. Last year, we passed an agenda policy and a code of conduct. Copies of them are in the doorway. I'm more than happy to take a copy. There's a 3-minute comment period. But please note, later on in the agenda, there's going to be a change possibly to change the comment period. So that is 2C Resolution 01.A.2025 Agenda Policy and Code of Conduct Revision. So we'll be discussing that and voting on that. And next we have under E, Junior Council Report. The only one here tonight is Samuel. Thank you for coming.
Yep, hello everyone. Not much to report since we were just on break for the last 2 weeks, but I would like to wish everyone a Happy New Year's. Thank you.
Oh, very nice. Thank you. Back. Okay, so next we have the initial reorganization of council. I would like to make a motion to open the nominations for president, and I would like to nominate Laura Ray as president. Would there be a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Victoria. Are there any other nominations? If not, I guess do we need a motion to close?
Yeah, that would be.
Okay, we'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to close the nominations. Will there be a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and I guess roll call, please.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Mr. Benonis absent. Ms. Altough-Cordero?
Yes.
Mr. Carucci absent. Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2. Mr. Carucci and Mr. Benonis absent.
Okay, so nominations have been closed, and again, we have a nomination to vote for Laura Ray as president, and could we have a vote on that?
Well, actually, I think the right way to do it is you then make a motion to have her serve as president,
Have her what?
to be the president.
That wasn't, I didn't
So
say in the right words. Okay,
Correct. She's
sorry.
been nominated, but now this is.
Right, okay, so I'm making a motion to have her serve in the role of president. I'm assuming you accept that.
I'll second that.
No, it's too late now, she seconded it. So, okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor, and I'd like a roll call, please.
Ms. Altough Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2. Mr. Carucci and Mr. Bononis absent.
Okay, and I'd like to congratulate Laura and wish her the best. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so we're just gonna switch seats, and if you give us a minute. I think I have everything. Okay. Thank you, Stacy.
While you're switching, I just want to say thank you to Priscilla for your year of leadership, especially with such a large change, and the things that we faced once that change occurred. You've been tremendously humble and courteous and gracious in light of everything. So I appreciate your leadership, your dedication for everything that you've done.
Thank you. I appreciate those words, and I'm here to serve the community, so I'm very grateful and appreciative, so, okay.
But she's not going anywhere right now, so. You're not going anywhere, so that's all.
No, the door's right there, though.
That's why I like that seat.
No, I'm here to stay for a while.
Your chair's so tall.
I look forward to serving with Laura as president also. I should say that too.
I can't hear you, what?
I said, I look forward to serving with Laura as president too. So I think this is a nice way for everybody to get experience, and I really think Laura will be excellent.
We're sharing the fun.
So I'm predicting it should be a fun meeting tonight, so. You can't
All
hear
right,
me?
so is this thing still on?
Yeah, don't turn your head to the side, because if you turn your head to the side, the words go out.
Okay, well,
How about now? Can
still
you hear
doesn't
that?
seem like it's
Yes.
on me. Oh, does this have to be
That
on too?
feedback? Feedback?
Is this, okay, is that better?
Did you turn that little mic on?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
Does that connect with this thing?
No.
Okay. All right, well, I think if I don't move my head, we're good. So we're gonna pick up here at item 2B for election of council vice president. So I will open it up for nominations for vice president. I will nominate Victoria to be vice president.
I'll second that. That's,
And do we do a roll call right away on that? Is that what you did? Okay, we'll take a roll call on that. So,
Ms. Ray?
yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
yes.
Ms. Altough Cordero?
Yes.
Nomination motion open 3-0. Mr. Carucci and Mr. Bononis absent.
All right, so do we have other nomination? Either of you want to nominate?
Nope.
All right.
Well, can I just say something? I'm looking forward to working with Victoria also. So I think we're a good team, and we're here for the residents. So please.
Thank you, Priscilla.
You're welcome. It's like pieces of a puzzle that fit together.
That's great.
All right, so I'll make the motion then to have, how did you do
To
that?
close the nominations
To
first.
close the nominations. So
I'll
make that
second.
motion. And can we have a roll call on that?
Ms. DeLeon? Yes. Ms. Uphoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Benonis and Mr. Carucci absent.
Did you do one more motion?
And that would be a motion,
Accepting?
that would be a motion to have Victoria serve as vice president.
All right, so I'll make a motion to ask Victoria if she will serve as the vice president. Do I have a second?
Yes. I'll second that.
All right. Yeah, I think Victoria will be a good
Well, then,
backup for me.
now we need the vote.
Yes.
Ms. Uphoff Cordero?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Benonis and Mr. Carucci absent.
Great. Congratulations.
I gotta get all my papers in order here. All right, so we're going to do agenda item 2C, the resolution 01A-2025. This is a new agenda policy and code of conduct, a revision. First, I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution 01A-2025 and make it effective immediately.
I'll second that.
I do have a letter, an email from somebody regarding this particular,
Okay.
if you want to open it to the floor for
Yeah,
discussion.
when we get to, after our discussion and stuff. Okay, so the reason that I felt a need to do this, to revise the agenda policy and code of conduct, was due to the meetings getting out of hand, the length of the meetings, difficulty in controlling behavior. So unfortunately, we're going to go back to a policy similar to what we had before. There are some slight differences in that we don't require a person to be a resident of Lower Saucon Township to speak, but we are going to limit the speaking on agenda items to 3 minutes up at the top of the meeting, and non-agenda items at the end of the meeting, so similar to like we did before. Pretty much everything else is the same. I know this was included in the packet, so hopefully everybody got a chance to read through. I didn't really want to read through word for word all the rules. They, like I said, they are the same. So, Priscilla, do you have comments to make?
I think it's unfortunate that we had to do this, but because of the behavior from last year, we have no choice. If things change during the year, we can always reconsider this, but we need to run orderly, respectful meetings. And if you can't make your point in 3 minutes, and so I support the new version.
Victoria?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that this has been placed on the agenda. As many people know, one of the main concerns that residents raised to me running was the lack of transparency and ability to express their opinions. So when I first came on council last year, it was very important for us to have a code of conduct and policy that provided as much comment period as possible during an agenda. I can say that I never foresaw a situation where there would be a coordinated effort by certain members of council and certain members of the public to use that time as a weapon to prevent the orderly conduct of our meetings, to prevent people who were here for just one item only that what may have been further on in the agenda to be able to participate meaningfully. So from my perspective, the point of the public comment period was to provide as much opportunity for everybody to be heard. And what occurred this last year is that despite our attempts to provide that opportunity to be heard, people didn't have the opportunity to be heard simply because their agenda item was so late during the meeting, or that while they were commenting, there was a lot of misbehavior up on council and also in the audience that made it so difficult for people to just make their point and move on. I would love to have the public comment period be one in which we have residents provide their input at each agenda item like we had initially envisioned. And that is my hope that we can return to that. But in light of the fact that we have meetings going on as late as 3:45 a.m. in the morning, that there are continuous efforts to obstruct the meeting minute times, but I should say the comment times for each person, but then also an attempt to continuously comment and repeat and discuss things that have already been raised. It has led to a chilling effect for our residents to be able to comment meaningfully. So I'm in support of this change, primarily because it will allow people who haven't been able to come to our meetings for the last 6 or 8 months because of the atmosphere to at least be able to come and provide their comments at the beginning and move on, and they can stay and watch the meeting. But if they don't have to and they don't, at least they can get their comment in. So for me, my hope is to provide as much opportunity as possible for commenting, that this would be an opportunity for everybody to really get their point across. It still allows for the president at any time to extend public comment period if she deems fit. And this policy is always amendable. So if members of the audience and members of our council can be respectful and use their comment periods thoughtfully and in a way that is not intended to be a weapon to prevent the orderly course of business, then we can hopefully open it up for a more comment period. But I'd like to see how our residents respond to this and how they're able to come to meetings, and hopefully, things on council will improve. But I cannot control the behavior of other members of council, so and I certainly can't control the behavior of any members of the audience. So until we return to some sense of normalcy in that respect, we have to make sure everybody has their right to be heard. So in an effort to make sure that everybody has the right to be heard, I am in support of this. And to be clear, I think that this policy, so everybody understands, after we do our roll call and announcement of executive session and pledge of allegiance, there will be a public comment period before we get into the meeting agenda. And that is when your ability to comment on any agenda item will take place. It will be a 3-minute period. And then if you have a non-agenda item, something that is of concern for you, you can then speak at the end of the meeting. If you have questions and you want to discuss things with us, I welcome you to email me. Of course, Kathy has always been available. You can always come and ask questions and discuss a particular agenda item or a particular issue that you're having. Always, I consider myself to have an open door policy, and it remains that way. So I invite anybody that wants to discuss something further beyond their comment period to please reach out. So that's all I have.
All right, so actually, we do have a public comment period at this point because we didn't adopt the resolution yet. So I'll open it up to public comment if you want to come on up to the podium.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sandra Miller.
Boy, it's soft.
Is that better? Yeah. Okay, thank you. I should have checked prior to starting. I apologize. Sandra Miller, Lower Saucon Township. And it's regrettable that you're apologizing for a policy that is actually the typical policy that people have, is that they have a public comment period at the beginning of a meeting on agenda items and then a public comment period at the end. So you were doing something that was above and beyond normal meeting management. So I wanted to do a little work because I'm going to be forthright in my, I had advocated that there's change occur. I've been participating in public meetings at this township for over 20 years. Robert's Rules of Order specifically says it's public comment is to combine majority rule and the respect for minority opinion. It's ensuring equal speaking opportunities from all sides, as noted by Victoria. I stand in support of the changes because by definition, public comment is to inform the council of your concerns, your opinion, to provide information that might have an impact on the decision that has to be made, and it also is supposed to be productive. It allows you to participate on meaningful substantive issues without getting into personal agenda items and activities that have no place in a council meeting. I want to really make a concerted effort to praise any levels of decorum that you've tried to maintain. It is only productive when all members are respectful to each other, the public to the council, and the council to the public. And I think you're all trying to do that, and I think that this new policy will reflect that. I wanted to note that if people have questions, there is an actual handout that is produced by Robert Rules of Order just on public comment. And it requires that all speakers also address their comments only to the chair. That is a way to prevent people to personally attack individual board members on how the process goes. And there is a note in here on behavioral expectations in Robert's Rules of Order. You should model courtesy and respect and encourage members of the public to do so as well. The public has the right to make their critical comments, but members of the public do not have the right to disrupt a meeting. Finally, the council may prohibit demonstrations such as booing and hissing, things that are disruptive to a meeting. That is within your purview if you're following these levels of decorum. I appreciate that you wanted to have individuals have the opportunity to comment. And I think the rule in place, which we used often when I was on the school board, if it was a topic that they felt they needed individuals to speak on, they would be able to do so on the discretion of the president. The only addition that I might make is that I would make the last section to also include agenda items, not just non-agenda items, so that after your vote, the public could make a comment on your vote. I wasn't sure what the card meant. I didn't know if that meant I was finished or 30 seconds. I'm finished. I'm all good.
Seconds late.
Oh, okay. I apologize for not keeping to timing. I didn't look over there. Have a great evening.
All right, thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy.
Do we have other comments?
Thank you, Sandra. That was very good. I totally understand why you've needed to change this policy, and I think it's for the benefit of the whole township to have these meetings be more civil, more concise, and you know, end at an earlier hour. So bravo to that. Thank you.
Thank you. We have somebody else?
Chris Gurrow, Lower Saucon Township. Just my opinion. I support the change in policy on public comments. Changing the comment policy to allow for comments after each agenda item was intended to bring more openness and allow the public's opinion to be voiced directly to council after an issue was discussed. Instead, it's being used to drag the meeting out, pushing the 3-minute limit to further lengthen the meetings. Instead, it's being used to provide disruption and personal attacks. Instead, it's being used to muddy the water of the topic at hand. Instead, it's being used to bring national politics into our township business. Something has to be done to lessen the time of the meetings, since Councilman Bononis and Kuroki will do anything, like reading the municipal code, to disrupt the meeting. So I welcome the change. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Claudia Markellos, Quarry Lane. Thank you for taking the step. I know I'm an offender of outburst. My frustration levels get very tight. So I really appreciate this, and I'm hoping to come here and be able to take part in the meetings and leave feeling like I've learned something and I've given something. So, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have other? Do you guys want to line up too?
Diane Hollowell, I really didn't have anything planned, but yes, this is a good change. Unfortunately, like I've added up, we've had taxpayers who've actually spent almost 2 hours of time standing up here talking about issues. So, and Laura Ray, I am happy for you because you might only be criticized in the beginning of the meeting and the end of the meeting now.
Well, that wasn't the main purpose, but it's the time.
Robert Blasco, Lower Saucon Township resident. The 3-minute time was a good idea. It was done to give everyone a chance to voice their opinions on the different agenda items. However, when it was done, it was assumed that everyone would act as a responsible adult and be respectful of other people's time. But that has not happened, so it had to be changed. I guess it's like my daddy always used to say, it only takes one to ruin it for everyone else.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have others?
Anne Marie Slavic, Lower Saucon Township. I do appreciate the fact that the meetings might be less time, but what I would say is, from my perspective and my opinion, because I've heard nothing but opinions up here, Robert's Rules of Orders, I wonder if it allows people to bring signs to meetings, to disrupt the meetings with yelling and the signs, the protest signs, which I experienced last year in the other building when everybody was against the landfill expansion. That was extremely disruptive. I also want to say that, again, it's fine to cut back on talking. I have been at local meetings in the Lehigh Valley where you would have to sign your name on a paper. You have to get to the meeting early, and you have to tell them on the paper what topic you want to speak about. So again, I have been to other council meetings in the area that do that, which would be fine as well, because then you could pick the topic ahead of time and say which one you want to speak about. I will say that I would say, from my perspective of what occurred last year and the last 2 years, last 3 years, is that there's a lot of bitterness on this council, and there's a lot of bitterness in the audience, and that's why it's all coming out the way it is. And perhaps things need to be discussed in this township, and people need to understand why people are speaking out and why they're disgusted. I also want to say that it is definitely a one-sided situation where there is a body of people in this audience on the council that want to stop the expansion of the landfill, and that seems to be your first priority. The other priority is partnering with Hellertown and giving them any money that they want, and these are the things that we're speaking out about. As taxpayers, we're not trying to be disruptive, but I do believe that there's an element here that people really don't understand what's going on, and there's a lot of shadiness that's going on behind the scenes, and that's why we're up here. And maybe it's disruptive to you, but see, that's an opinion. So if you're going to shut people down over opinions, that's exactly what happens on the national level, and that's why the national stuff is being brought into this meeting, because it's the same exact thing that's going on. Shutting down people because you don't agree with what they say, and you don't want to be disruptive, you just want to do your own thing. And again, we have a solicitor on this council who has done things behind the scenes that nobody understands or nobody knows about, spent money that shouldn't have been spent, and it continues. And someday, all the people in this township are going to realize really what went on. And I can't wait for that day to come. Thank you.
Andrea Witch in Lower Saucon Township. I'm disappointed that we have to take this step. We've also just had a perfect example of why we need to do that. Someone who talked for 3 minutes completely off the point. So I understand the necessity for it. The only thing that I would ask is that under Robert's Rules of Order, items that are on an agenda should be related to a particular motion that is going to be introduced and discussed. If we could add that in as many places as possible to agenda items, this would allow people who would like to comment on agenda items before the meeting to have some idea where the council is headed with that agenda item. We've seen in the last year a bunch of agenda items that just say discussion and consideration. And frankly, if you're reduced to only speaking on that before the meeting begins or before that agenda item is brought up, you don't have a clue what's going to be discussed or what the council is intending to do. And I think that is, first of all, in opposition to how Robert's Rules of Order describes the proper conduct of a meeting, and it leaves those of us who would like to comment short of the information necessary to make appropriate comment. If we have a good idea of what the motion is that is to be discussed, then the comment period becomes more valuable, because if I agree with the agenda item and its motion, I don't need to make a comment unless I want to support it. If I am in opposition to it, I can use my 3 minutes in order to speak intelligently about what the council has indicated their motion will be. So while I absolutely support the need to do this, I'm sorry that the behavior of some of the members of the council and in the community have made it a necessity. But I think that if you can give us more information about what each of the agenda items is, and I know you do provide backup materials, and because I always read them, I know the ones that do not come with backup materials, and we don't have any idea where that discussion is going to go. And the president has difficulty controlling the discussion because it's not clear what the item is pertaining to. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good input, feedback. I agree. Do we have more comments?
Dave Boulan. Little hoarse today, sorry. The bottom line is I agree with Ms. Slavic. The bottom line is there's clearly hostilities here. We saw it last week with the signs up. So when people say that everybody ought to be wonderfully nice and kind, and the council majority leads off with those kinds of signs in front of their faces, that tells you right away how they're going to vote, and they're not going to listen to the public. I've asked that several times, that changes made to items such as this, the conduct, be highlighted so we know what the changes are, instead of having to spend hours going through line by line to try to understand. That's been disregarded. I certainly did like the comment about the previous speaker saying that, yes, the more we know as a public, the better off we are. But somehow we seem to go in the opposite direction. And what I'll point out is that I see a year ago, when the last majority went out, that it was a 3-minute topic, just like now, before everything else. And when this group came in, they championed 5 minutes on any topic, and then that was thrown out, and we have a new one now. It's 3 minutes on any topic. All right. Now here's yet another new code of conduct that says 3 minutes for anything you may see on the agenda. You only have a total of 3 minutes, if I understand correctly. And in addition to which, we see that one of the council members, who probably is the worst offender, had her own code of conduct for the council. And if that had been reasonable, perhaps it would have passed. But I also noticed that this council has a majority and they really don't care what the public says unless it's their people or what other people say, such as myself. All right. So those are really, really big red flags. And saying that it's all one-sided, being nasty, that I heard the opening statement here by one of the council people who by the way, goes on and on and on and on ad nauseum, and that's just not right. But what really kills me is the orange flags. There's a perfect example of how nasty certain council people will be, and others that say, oh, your time's up, which would be appropriate for the president to say. So not only soaking up the public's time, giving your position and explaining everything the way you see it or reinterpreting, not appropriate. I think my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else?
I do have one to read into the minutes.
Oh, okay, that's right. Kathy has a
I
email.
received an email from Ms. Amber Pellos. Dear Township Council members, I am writing to express my support for the proposed change to the public comment period at council meetings. Specifically, I advocate for moving the public comment period to the beginning of the meeting rather than at the end of each agenda item. I believe this adjustment would allow for more constructive dialogue, as residents would have the opportunity to voice their concerns and suggestions up front, giving council members the benefit of the public input when discussing and considering each agenda item. It would also help streamline the meeting process, ensuring that discussions remain focused and allowing the council to proceed with business in a timely manner, without additional delays at the end of each item. I believe this change would improve transparency, encourage better engagement from the public, and allow for more efficient and effective meetings. Thank you for your consideration.
Kathy, could you repeat who sent that?
Ms. Amber Palos.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Right, did we have any other comment? Just checking. Okay. So I might ask a question then. So one of the comments that was made that I would agree with and was looking to see how we would change that is at the end of the meeting, it doesn't really matter to me if it's an agenda or non-agenda item that they comment on. And so I was looking here quick, we could change in number 8 and just change it to be public comment - agenda or non-agenda items. And then the other part where it would have to change would be here in this number 2, where the name of the second public comment period, agenda or non-agenda items at the end of the meeting. I think that's a good idea.
So if that was where council was headed, there would have to be a motion to amend.
Yeah, that's what I
You'd
was
have to amend the
asking.
motion.
That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to make sure you were good with that. Minor wording changes, but I will amend my motion that I made before then to adopt Resolution 01A-2025 to be effective immediately. However, with the following changes, as I had mentioned, under the agenda section A, number 8, where it lists public comment non-agenda items for 3-minute time limit, this would be agenda or non-agenda items with a 3-minute time limit. And then in the public comment and participation section, number 2, where it gives the title agenda as public comment - non-agenda items, to also include agenda in that phrase as well. So that's
Second that.
along
I'll second.
amended.
Was I the second? Okay, so I amend my second.
Yes. All right. Can we have a roll call?
Well, actually,
No.
we'd have to go through since
Do
it's
we
an
want
amended
another
motion.
public comment on
We have to
that?
provide that opportunity for public
Or
comment.
do we want to talk about that more?
I don't have any, I think it's a great idea. I appreciate that input.
Do we have public who wants to comment on the change in the comment period? Okay, seeing none, I guess we can have a roll call.
Okay.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes, but I want to say that, and this is no disrespect to this administration, but we need to be, I think, more responsive, put more things in the packet so that when the people can, look at the agenda item, there's, more. I'm not saying you don't do that, but, just try to look at that. And I know everybody talks about Robert's rules, and Robert's rules are not found in any of the codes that we have in the township. Our administrative code is silent on it, and there's no teeth in our code with Robert's rules. So I've always tried to run meetings parliamentary, I can't say that word right now, but there's really no teeth in our code. I don't know, it's not in there. The other thing that I want to say is, in regards to comments were made about signs being on the dais last meeting or the meeting before, I personally have never put a sign up. Those signs were put up by residents that attended this meeting, and you have First Amendment rights you better be careful of. So, that their people have, their First Amendment rights. So with that, I'd like to vote yes.
Ms. Aptoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce, Mr. Bononis absent.
All right. So I need to make a motion to amend our agenda to add a public comment agenda items as a new item, insert it right here in the agenda. So it will become agenda item 2D, and the items that we already had as 2D, 2E, and 2F become 2E, 2F, and 2G. If that makes sense. We got to bump the alphabet down the line a little bit, correct?
Yes, and you may want to consider adding the public comment non-agenda/agenda items at the end of the meeting after 5A.
At the end of the board meeting. Okay, true. So we will be adding that in after 5A.
Yes, so it would be 5B. So in other words, if this passes, the idea would be that the public would have their opportunity for public comment on agenda items now. And then at the end of this meeting, they'd have public comment for agenda and non-agenda items at the end before we adjourn.
Correct. Okay, so that is my motion to amend our agenda to add these additional comment periods to our current reorganization meeting.
And I'll second that.
Just before, would you also amend in the general business meeting,
Well, that is true.
adding the public comment period?
I think we would do that at the general business meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that on a separate.
But if you want to be safe, we could do it now too. We might as well. It's a good
Okay.
idea, actually. The more I
I
think
would
about
just
it, the better
suggest
idea it is.
making, including the amendments to the general business meeting would be 7.
So the amendment would be to add into the general business meeting a 7E, which would be public comment on agenda items. Would you accept that as an amendment to your motion?
And
Yes.
also at the very end,
It's already there. It's
That
number
is
10.
there.
okay,
Just have to
And then I'll
make sure it's agenda and non-agenda.
agenda and non-agenda.
amend my second.
Okay, the second's been amended.
All right, that was fun. Have fun with that. Okay, so I made the motion, we have the second, and I believe we need public comment on that.
No.
We're done with that part? Okay.
So that would be council's input if they have any input, and then if not, then we'd go to a roll call.
Are we all good with all
that
this,
motion, with
all
all
this
those
moving
amendments?
around the agenda?
Yes, I'm good with all of that. I'm good with all of that. My speaker
Okay,
wasn't
are
on.
you okay over there, Victoria?
Yes.
Okay. Very good, so a roll call?
Ms. Aptoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Bononis and Mr. Croce absent.
Okay. So now, what used to be item 2D is now 2E.
Sound like we're at a play.
Huh?
To be or not to be.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's E. So this is designation of council meeting time, place, and dates for
No,
20.
pardon me. I believe what we have to do now is,
The com.
it's a little confusing. So now it's 2D, this is the
Oh,
public
sorry,
comment
sorry,
portion.
sorry. Yes. All right, so now we're gonna have public comment on the agenda items for the
Org only.
reorg part of the meeting. So it's up through and including number 7, where we have our general business meeting. Does anybody have any comments on any of the?
1 through 6. Okay.
Okay, seeing none. It's just the reorganization part of the agenda that we're doing, where we reappoint all the boards.
If there's no comments, then we can move on to.
All right.
Is this a public comment period
Yes.
for the dates?
This is the public, just to be clear, this is the public comment period for the agenda. So if there's any agenda items that you'd like to speak on, when we say agenda, we mean the reorganizational agenda, to speak on, this is your time to do that. After this, we're going to adjourn, we're going to go into the regular meeting, you'll have yet another opportunity to speak on that regular meeting. I hope that helps everyone in the audience.
So the regular meeting starts at number 7, the general business meeting, and that's where we have regular township business.
There's no first Monday of February.
So if you want to make comment, this would be the appropriate time to make your public comment. So if you want to come to the stand and do so.
I believe that the council meetings are generally the first and third Wednesday of the month, and there is no council meeting listed for the first Wednesday of February. Is that an oversight, or is there a reason why?
Unavailability, I believe, so we're only going to do a 1 meeting February.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make
Yeah,
sure it
not a
wasn't an
mess.
oversight, because there was some question about the dates of the January meeting, and those got corrected, so thank you.
Right. Do we have any other comments on this part of the meeting? Okay, seeing none, we will now go to item 2E, which is the designation of council meeting time, place, date for 2025. So there is the listing. So as was pointed out, there is only 1 meeting scheduled for February, as well as June, July, and August are only 1 meeting each month, and then the others are pretty much fit the regular schedule, first and third Wednesday dates, with the exception of this one. Reorganization is required to be on the first Monday of the year. So I will make a motion to approve this proposed 2025 council meeting schedule. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, and I don't have any comments. I just made the comments, I guess.
I don't have anything.
No, I have nothing.
All right, can we have a roll call?
Ms. Aptow Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce and Mr. Bononis absent.
Okay, next item is 2F, the resolution 01-2025, depository of funds. Staff recommends the following Fulton Financial Advisors, PLGIT, and Embassy Bank for our depositories. I make a motion to approve this resolution 01-2025.
Second.
Any
Comment.
comment? Okay, can I have a roll call?
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Aptow Cordero?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce and Mr. Bononis absent.
Okay, and then 2G is Resolution 02-2025, secondary signatures for the disbursements. The acting township manager and township controller, along with the council president and vice president, will serve as signatories for the year. And then we would also name an alternate signer from council, so I would make.
Actually, the acting township manager cannot fill that role. That's why it's opened on the resolution.
Yeah, I
Until
was
you hire
wondering-
a township manager.
I was wondering how that got in there.
It does say
That's
that,
not supposed
though.
to be in
Sorry.
there.
Okay.
No,
I
but-
caught that and I thought, what?
So in the resolution itself, it says township manager and the position's open. Until that position's filled, that person would be the signer, not myself.
Right.
Okay,
No, wait, what did you say? A staff person, what?
that person.
The person that's appointed township manager would be then, we would bring this resolution back to you to
Oh,
add that
yes,
person
it'll be
to.
one of the four.
Correct.
Correct, okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll volunteer to be that alternate signer. In addition to the controller, the president, vice president, I'll be the alternate.
Okay, so do I need to amend a motion here then for that?
You would.
So we'll amend the motion to have myself as president, Victoria as vice president, and then Priscilla DeLeon as the council member, as the alternate signer. And then Lynn Hill as the township controller. And currently, the township manager position is open as the signer, and that will be, updated if we have a township manager this year. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Can I have a roll call?
Ms. DeLeon,
Yes.
Ms. Uptoff Cordero,
Yes.
Ms. Rowe.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Bononis absent.
Okay, so the next section, I think I can bundle together. These are the appointments by council for the various roles. So the resolutions are 03-2025 for township secretary. I'm making a motion to bundle these together into one approval. 03-2025 township secretary, 04-2025 for township planning zoning administrator, 05-2025 for the right to know officers, 06 through 010-2025 for the appointments of the various township solicitors, 11-2025 for appointment of the township engineer, Resolution 12-2025 for the sewage enforcement officers, Resolution 13-2025 for the township landfill consultants, Resolution 14-2025 for the township EAC open space consultant, Resolution 15-2025 for the township auditor, Resolution 16-2025 for township actuary,
I think we need to stop
and
there.
that's the bundle.
Okay, now, I'll support this and vote yes, but I have a question. And we went through this, and that's fine, there's a lot of resolutions here. And are the minutes then gonna reflect the hourly fees then, that all these people are getting paid? Like, how will that happen?
We can make reference to the resolution and
Right.
have the resolutions put in the minutes.
Right, okay. So, because that way then everybody knows what the salaries are. They're in the paperwork that you provided with the packet, but then it needs to be in the minutes. So I will vote, second that motion.
Okay, do you have any comments, Victoria? No. All right, can we have a roll call on this?
Ms. Updike Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Caroci and Mr. Bononis absent.
Okay. So the next section is appointments by council, council liaison appointments to our various volunteer boards. All right, so I will make a motion to appoint the following. I will list the main or primary liaison or liaisons along with the alternates for each one. My list is in a different order, so I'm gonna go by the order that I wrote down, so I don't go crazy over here. So I will appoint myself, Laura Ray, to the Parks and Rec liaison with Priscilla De Leon and Victoria Optoff Cordero as the alternates. I appoint to the Saucon Valley Conservancy Priscilla De Leon as the liaison with myself and Victoria as the alternates. I appoint Victoria as the liaison to Lower Saucon Authority with Priscilla and myself as alternates. I appoint Priscilla and Victoria to the Landfill Committee with myself as an alternate. I appoint myself to the Lower Saucon Township Historical Society with Priscilla De Leon and Victoria as the alternates. I appoint myself as the liaison to EAC with Priscilla and Victoria as alternates. I appoint Priscilla to Pension Advisory Committee as the liaison with myself and Victoria as alternates. I appoint myself and Victoria to the Fire Services with Priscilla De Leon as an alternate. I appoint Priscilla to the Hellertown Lower Saucon Chamber liaison with myself and Victoria as alternates. I appoint Victoria to the Saucon Rail Trail Oversight Commission with myself and Priscilla as alternates. I appoint Victoria to Planning Commission liaison with myself and Priscilla as alternates. I appoint Priscilla as liaison to the Historic Committee with myself and Victoria as alternates. I appoint Priscilla as liaison to Saucon Valley Partnership with myself and Victoria as alternates. And I appoint Priscilla and Victoria as liaisons to the Hellertown Area Library with myself as an alternate. Those are all our miscellaneous boards. Do I have a second?
Did you say Saucon Valley Partnership?
I did.
No, okay. I just want to make one change, that the Saucon Valley Conservancy meets on the second Monday. But that's flexible because depending on when people are available, it changes. But it's normally the second Monday. So if you want to change your records to reflect that. And with that, I'll second it.
All right, are you good with everything? Did I catch everybody?
I think it's great. For the benefit of the audience, I think it's important to note that there are two renewed spots that we lost that are now back. And I'm happy to say they're back, and that's the partnership. There'll still be some other things that have to take place for the partnership to begin, but that is the cog between Saucon Valley School District, Hellertown Borough, and Lower Saucon Township, which helps manage issues that are in common between those three entities, municipal entities. And then also obviously the Hellertown Area Library liaison, now that we have library services again.
Correct. So pretty much all the other boards that were mentioned, we already had before, and I think we all kept the same liaison positions that we had before, so
Yeah.
no real shuffling around there. So can we have a roll call on that?
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Delion?
Yes.
Ms. Uptoff Cordero?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce, Mr. Benoit is absent.
All right. So now we're in section 4 for reorganization resolutions and our fee schedules. And let's see. I don't know if I can bundle these things together too.
I have a comment on the managers on the first one.
Do we want to, is it better to do these one by ones?
Yeah, because there's not that many of them.
Okay.
Well, well, why don't we just, I would think we bundle them if we can. If there's one specifically you have a question, we'll just pull it out. Steve, is there any like legal issue with bundling them together?
There's no legal issue with the bundling. You can do them all together, you can do them one by one, you can do them in any way you want.
Well,
I don't care if you bundle them, I just have
yeah, okay, let's just do whatever comments, if
Okay.
you have comments.
I think we need a motion first. I think we,
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion to, well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve, and let's see how far these go. Resolutions 17, 20, 25 through 30, is it? Okay, 30, 20, 25.
I'll second that.
Through what number, Laura?
30, 20, 25,
Wait, let me find 30, 25, okay.
Township Tax Administrator, yep.
Okay, my comment would be then,
Do we have a second, though? Did you second?
I think Victoria did. Did you second it?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay. So my comment would be that under the manager's salary line item, we're taking out the extra pay, I don't know what to call it, I'll call it extra pay for Kathy, Stacy, and Carol for their additional work that they're doing in the absence of the manager. So I want that to continue. And I don't think we need to vote separately on it because we voted last year and it's just continuing. But I want to make note that the minutes reflect that it's an ongoing payment. Is that okay, Steve?
yeah. So what I think you're saying is you're saying that in the past, there were financial accommodations made for various employees of the township. And those will remain in effect. When they were enacted, there was no end date or anything else.
Right, no.
You just want to make it clear for the minutes purposes and for the purposes for the public that that's going to continue indefinitely until it's no longer in effect.
Right, and the employee should know that that's in their, yeah, that's gonna happen, so. Okay, that's all I have.
All right, do we have a roll call?
Ms. Delion?
Yes?
Ms. Uptoff Cordero?
Yes, and I will say, I want to thank all of our staff for all of their work. Obviously, you guys do so much here and are working through, some very interesting times, and I appreciate all of your work and your guidance, because you really do guide us in that respect. So I appreciate that, thank you, but yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce and Mr. Benoit is absent.
All right, and then we have section 5, manager appointments with council consent. We have appointments to various boards, council committees. We have a lot of papers, sorry. This is paper intensive part of the meeting.
Did I just turn something off? I turned my monitor off. I know, I'll get back on. Sorry, I'm taking up a lot of space.
Just so you know, the red folders do have, some spreadsheet information to help you if you need.
I did take that out of my red folder, but it's buried in my paperwork.
I just was.
I'll take Jason's. give it back to him. I'm not taking it.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for the easiest way to.
A lot of this was in our
Do this.
emails.
Do this in maybe each section or each department.
Yeah, I think I'll use this chart with this chart.
Yeah.
I don't know if all the up-to-date names are in that we discussed. Okay, well, I'm gonna start with zoning hearing board. So on the zoning hearing board, we had one member who was, term was expiring. We also had one member who recently resigned. So we are filling the remainder of that position. And I would make the motion to reappoint Keith Easley for a new term to expire, it is 5 years, so 12/31/29. And I would make the motion to appoint Kevin McGovern to finish the term of Theodore Eichenlob. So that would expire, that term would end 12/31/2025 at the end of this year.
Okay, I'll second those, there's one motion, right?
Yeah, I think we'll do it board by board, might be easiest.
Yes,
'Cause
okay. I'll second that.
some confusion, to avoid that. All right, any discussion or comment, Victoria?
No, I think that's great.
Okay,
Yeah, I have no comment.
all right, so roll call on zoning?
Ms. Altough Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce and Mr. Benonis absent.
Okay, so the next board is the Planning Commission. There are 2 members whose term ended at the end of 2024. I will make the motion to reappoint both of them. That is Christopher Nagy and Jennifer Peters for a new 4-year term to expire 12/31/2028. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any comment? If not, can I have a roll call?
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Altough Cordero?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce and Mr. Benonis absent.
Okay, EAC, it's a little more complicated because it's a unique board that has,
We're gonna fix it, right?
pardon?
Fixing it.
Well, we're gonna fix it, but it's unique also because it has yearly associate members and then 3-year voting members. So I'll start with the easy part there, the associate members. So there are still 2 vacancies, and we had previously discussed at council that we will look at the applicants that we have for that at our upcoming EAC meeting and discuss, make recommendations on who we want to have for those 2 vacant associate positions. But for the 3 other associate positions that would be expiring, I will make the motion to reappoint Janine Bonham, Russell Sutton, and Winfield Clark to another term to expire 12/31/2025. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, can I have a roll call on that?
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Altough Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce and Mr. Benonis absent.
Okay, so here's the fun part. So for the other positions on EAC, they are voting positions. And we have 7 voting positions. Originally, when the EAC was created, just as with other boards, terms were staggered. And somewhere along the line between people that leave in between terms and new people coming on, and the terms somehow got mixed up. So for some reason, we ended up with 4 people with term dates at the end of this year. And then we only have 1 with a term date of next year. And then we have 2 in 2026. So really it should be 3, 2, and 2 grouped together. So what I propose to do to correct this is we're going to take 3 of the 4, reappoint them to 3-year terms, and then a 4th person we're going to reappoint for 1 year, and then that way that person will be up in 2025 again and can get back into a 3-year schedule. So we won't have this oddball grouping like we have. So with that, I was going to make the motion to reappoint to 3-year terms Alan Johnson, Kathy Pitchell McGovern, and Chad Heimbecker for 3-year terms. So that would expire 12/31/2027. And then I would make the motion to appoint Drew, sorry, I'm losing my voice already. Drew Germanowski to 1 year to expire 12/31/2025, and then he'll be up again next year.
Right, but she can only make one motion. Are you making, how many motions are you putting out?
Well, that's one motion, really,
Okay.
all bundled together.
Just checking.
Just that 3 people are gonna have one term date, one's gonna have another term date, but it's the 4 people that are up. So that all makes sense to everybody.
Okay, so that's your motion then?
That is my motion for that part.
Okay, I'll second that. And thank you for figuring this out.
Yeah. All right, can we have a roll call?
Ms. Uptoff Cordero,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Caroci and Mr. Bonona's absent.
Okay, next board is the.
Wait, you didn't do the vacant seats.
Yeah, the vacancy I talked about. So the vacancy, we had discussed at a prior council meeting that EAC wants to look at the applicants that have accumulated and reaccumulated and come back with a recommendation to council.
Okay, so we're holding off on these
Yes.
2 vacancies.
The
Okay,
2
that's fine.
vacancies will be vacant until EAC meets next week, and then we'll,
Okay,
right? Is next week? The week after, whenever, the 2nd Tuesday.
put them on the next meeting then, okay.
Yeah, so then we'll bring that back to council with a recommendation on filling those 2 associate positions. All right, so next board is the Parks and Rec Board. These are yearly reappointments or appointments for new people. So on this one, I am going to make a motion to reappoint. Let me get all my names in order here. Nilu Aflatuni, Jerry Hollum, Maya Simon, Robert Blasco, Sean Yanchuk, Phil Spone, and newly appoint to the board, Sandy Miller. So these are for 1-year terms that would expire 12/31/2025.
Okay, if that's your motion, I'll second
That
it.
is my motion. Can we have a roll call?
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon,
Yes.
Ms. Uptoff Cordero.
Excuse me, sorry, yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Caroci and Mr. Bonona's absent.
And I believe Sandy is here. So far she's, well, there were other people here too. We should have acknowledged them. Sorry about that.
Okay. This. Reappoint. Okay, next board is the Lower Saucon Authority. And I'm gonna make a motion to, what are the terms on this? This is 5-year board. So we have 2 positions that term this year. Let me make notes. So I'm going to make the motion to reappoint Bob Davis to a new 5-year term to expire 12/31/2029, and appoint Mr. Green, I don't have his first name handy, David Green, there we go, David Green, for a 5-year term, also expiring 12/31/2029.
Go ahead, Matt.
All right. Can we have a roll call?
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Optoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carochi and Mr. Bonona is absent.
All right. Next is for the township historian. It's an annual appointment. Our current historian has stepped down, so we are going to appoint a new person, and that would be Mark Connor, for a term to expire 12/31/2025. So I make that motion to appoint him.
I'll second that.
All right, can we have a roll call?
Ms. Optoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carochi and Mr. Bonona is absent.
All right, and next is the historical committee. Karen was also on that as well. She stepped down. So Mark Connor had been on the historical committee, but now we're going to name him township historian. So we are going to appoint 2 people to the historical committee to fill these 1-year terms. I make the motion to appoint Jane Schreiber and Amelia Dignetti as to the historical committee for terms ending the end of 2025.
I'll second that, but do you want to include the others in the same motion, or no?
Oh, true. Yeah, that's true. They're just reappointed. Okay. And reappointing, yes, Jody Hijazi, Brian Morrow, and Patricia Weaver.
Okay.
All terms would expire end of 2025.
Okay, I'll second that.
And just, for me, just a question, the historian also serves on that committee by virtue of there being a historian, is that
Correct.
right? So it would be the historian plus those members?
Right.
Okay.
So can we have a roll call?
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Optoff Cordero?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carochi and Mr. Bonona is absent.
Can I just say?
In fact, can I just stop for a second? And I don't know if we can do this tonight, but I think it would be good to combine the historian with the historical committee. That way they work in unison, you know, as a committee. I don't know if we can do that.
It sort of does
Yeah,
anyway.
it does. Yeah, we don't need to
It's
make
just like a,
Yeah, if you're gonna do it formally,
Separate.
we'd have to put it on another agenda, but if you want to just simply direct them to try to work together, look
and
like
they
they always do.
do, and they do,
do.
so, okay.
Right, yeah, that was my question about the historian participating in the committee meetings. The historian participating as a member of the committee. I had asked that question before we did the roll call about the historian participating with the committee.
right. And
We all said
they
yes.
do.
Right, so that the historian would go to the meetings.
Oh, they wouldn't meet without, they meet together,
Right.
right?
But I thought maybe it would also be appropriate, Karen Samuels has been our longtime historian, and she served us for many years. Many know her, she's been on the Historical Society. I mean, Priscilla, you probably can say this more than I can. So please, feel free to fill in, but I thought it would be nice to do a thank you resolution to her. Because
They
she's
already
been on
asked
that.
for one.
Oh, okay, so good, there you go. But just so for the public's benefit, she
Right.
had to step down. And we want to thank her for her service, and we appreciate everything. I know that she's doing all that she can to continue to work
Right.
in the capacity that she's able to. and that I look forward to the resolution of appreciation when it's ready.
Right, absolutely. She's a great historian.
Yes, she is. She's written a number of books, too.
Right.
All right, so we hit all the names, so can we have a roll call for that? The historical committee, did we not do that? Okay,
We're at,
that was just extra discussion.
It was just,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
sidebar.
Next is the Emergency Management Coordinator, and this is a yearly appointment. We'd like to reappoint Brian Evans for new term to expire end of 2025.
I'll make that motion. Or did you just make it?
I think I made the motion.
Okay, I'll second it.
Sorry. Can we have a roll call?
Ms. DeLeon,
Yes.
Ms. Updike Cordero,
Yes.
Ms. Ray.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carucci and Mr. Bonone is absent.
All right. The next is Landfill Committee, one-year appointments. I will make a motion to reappoint Matt McLaren and Brian Morrow to terms to expire 12/31/2025. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Can I have a roll call?
Ms. Updike Cordero,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carucci and Mr. Bonone is absent.
All right, next is Pension Committee, 3-year term. We have Shorov Koshik, whose term is expired at the end of 2024. I would like to make the motion to reappoint him to a new term to expire 12/31/2027. We have a second?
I'll second.
All right, can we have a roll call?
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon,
Yes.
Ms. Updike Cordero.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carucci and Mr. Bonone is absent.
You should tape that. Next is the fire marshal, which is also 1-year term. I'll make the motion to reappoint Bill Cesar for a term to expire 12/31/2025. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a roll call.
Ms. DeLeon,
Yes.
Ms. Updike Cordero.
Yes.
Ms. Ray.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carucci and Mr. Bonone is absent.
Next is Saucon Rail Trail Oversight Commission. These are 4-year terms. So we have 2 people that are due up to renew. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I make a motion to reappoint both Dan Edelman and Frank Thompson to 4-year terms to expire 12/31/2028. Have a second?
I'll second.
We have a roll call?
Ms. Updike Cordero,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carucci and Mr. Bonone is absent.
Let's see, building code, now let's see. Yeah, building code's good. So this would be where we would have our HAL appointment, correct?
What's that?
Our appointment for the HAL board?
Yes.
Okay, because that wasn't on the chart, because we didn't have that before. So I would like to make a motion to appoint Joellen Thompson as our member on the newly reformed for us Hellertown Area Library Board.
I'll second that.
Do we want to have some discussion?
I think this is,
Start.
I'm very happy to see that she applied. And whenever I've gone to a meeting over the last, 2-3 years, it seems like forever ago, you were always there at those meetings. And you were right there trying to figure out what's going on. You learned a lot about the library. going, attending, and you're a volunteer over there, and really thank you for all you do for the library. So it's an honor for me to do that, just like all the other appointments, but the library is very special this year because we got it back, so it's a special appointment, so.
I just want to say that we did have a lot of people apply, so I think it reinforces the community's interest and desire to participate in HAL. And I welcome everybody that did apply for HAL or has interest in HAL to please attend HAL's meetings. Just because you're not appointed to the board, it would be good to attend those meetings and get acclimated with what's happening there. They themselves, the way that HAL has been, we participate in HAL, and HAL reorganized their entire board so that HAL board actually appoints the other members of their board. Each municipality gets to appoint one person, but then the other members of the board appoint people as necessary to continue on. And so if you have an interest in serving on HAL's board, you certainly have the opportunity to pursue that through HAL by attending their meetings and participating with them and inquiring at the Hellertown Area Library on getting involved. And I would encourage everybody who's had any interest whatsoever to please go to HAL and start attending their meetings. And I want to thank Joellen for all of her hard work and maintaining the library over the years and being an advocate. And I think that she would be a wonderful asset. So yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, I will also reiterate, I know Joellen was at a lot of those library meetings with us all over the place, as well as here, and has been a volunteer at the library for many years. And it was kind of hard-picking person because a lot of people were very interested in being our person on the library board. So it's great that we had to make a choice, even that we have people that we choose from. But I know Joellen will do a good job, so congratulations. Can we have a roll call?
Ms. Dre,
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon,
Yes.
Ms. Updike Cordero.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce and Mr. Bonona is absent.
Can I just make a comment about the Building Code of Appeals? It's a 5-year position and it expires at the end of the year. I don't ever remember this board meeting in all these years, but we have to have it because of the code.
Yes.
Okay, so would it be inappropriate for us to send letters to them just to make sure they're still interested? Should we need to have a meeting and these people say, well, I'm not interested in that anymore, or they moved away or something?
You can reach out to them.
You know what I mean? So if we can reach out, make sure they're still interested, that we don't want to get rid of them, but we want to make sure they're still interested. Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, so now we are at our brand new section that wasn't in the agenda, but this is our public comment period for agenda or non-agenda items for all the stuff that we just went through, all the
Can I make a suggestion?
township
Ask the
things.
people to line up too if there's a lot, so.
Sure. If you want to make a line if you're interested,
I don't see a line.
take a number. Okay.
You did a good job.
All right, so one, okay.
Dave Bland. All right, that's pretty good. We did 14 resolutions there, and we just did 15 more, and 11 previous to that, and we're going to get 3 minutes to talk about it. Gee, I really thank you all. We had no input at all from the public on that, so congratulations, all right? So not only did you reduce our time to allow us to maybe go over some of these and suggest other things or other people, so you've truncated that, you shut us down on that. And I say us, I mean anybody that doesn't agree with you, all right? But in addition to which, you just blocked them out and said, amongst yourselves, let's just put all these together and vote on them, and away you go. And you did. Congratulations. So when I see somebody doesn't show up, I'd say, why would you show up when you know it's fait accompli? Because the three Democrats here are just going to say, that's it. So if you want to know my comments about all of those, that's a starter, all right? And I won't go into it because I know you don't like dissension and you're trying to stamp it out. That's what I see. So carry on, have a good time. Doesn't mean the public doesn't watch, and you better be aware of that. Yes, I was less than 3 minutes, Priscilla.
Anybody else? All right, if,
I think we have somebody else.
One more person.
Robert Blasco, Lower Saucon Township resident. I have one simple statement, and that is that I wonder where all the people objecting to this new procedure as far as public comment and saying what a vile thing it is, I wonder why they weren't objecting in 22,
Right,
2023, 2021.
yep, because you're correct. It was going on then, same thing, same way, same procedure.
Just a point of order, I think there was a claim that we didn't offer the public the ability to comment on potential appointments before we did them, but we specifically amended the agenda items to include that, so there was an opportunity before we addressed those agenda items and after. I just want to make sure, is that correct, Solicitor, that we had that, we opened that time up for them to comment on these agenda items at the beginning of, you know, once we passed the resolution, we included another.
That's
correct.
egregious.
Okay, thank you.
That's egregious because we cannot refute what is quite obvious.
okay, well, we're
Okay,
not
now
there.
we'll be down. Here we go.
Anne Marie Slavic. I just want to make a quick comment in reference to the last situation, well, the last comment period when I was up here. And someone in the audience mentioned Robert's Rules of Order and how we should conduct our meetings that way. And actually, I disagree with that. And then when I mentioned Robert's Rules of Orders about bringing signs into the building in protest back when everybody was doing the anti-landfill signs, which was disruptive, and they were very disruptive in that meeting. Priscilla, you mentioned to me that we don't go by Robert's Rules of Orders, but I'm wondering why you didn't mention that when the last lady was up here that mentioned Robert's Rules of Orders. Why didn't you correct her and tell her that we don't go by Robert's Rules of Orders? I don't understand that. I don't agree we should go by Robert's Rules of Orders.
No comment.
That's fine. You don't have to comment. I wish that the solicitor of this township would advise on legal matters in other cases than just when the dissension people are up here. Thanks.
Do you have any other comments? All right, if not, I am going to move to adjourn our reorganization meeting. The time is 8:07. I guess I have to hit the little.
Motion to adjourn, I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
A roll call, if we need it.
Ms. Delion?
Yes.
Ms. Uptoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Caroci and Mr. Bonona is absent.
All right, so I will hit the bang again, and we're going to call to order the general business meeting. The time is 8:07. Can we have a roll call?
Ms. Uptoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Delion?
Yes, here.
Motion passes 3-0.
Roll call.
Mr. Caroci and Mr. Bonona is absent.
All right, so we did not meet in executive session. We don't have any action on executive session. And we will now have our new section for public comment on agenda items for this part of the this meeting? Township business items. Do we have comment?
Am I to infer that each one of these items we can talk about, or just the three as a group? Because it's not clear.
You would have the opportunity to talk about any item that is on the agenda.
Any item, is that singular or plural?
Any item, if your question is can you talk for arguments? Pardon me, sir. No, sir, let me answer your question. If your question is, can you talk about, for example, 8A and 8B? Yes.
That's what I asked, thank you. Yes, I do want to talk about it when it's appropriate.
This is the time. It's public comment.
Maybe somebody else.
Okay. Does somebody else want to make public comment on agenda items for township business?
Lynn Hill, I just want to express my support for the compost center agreement with Hellertown Borough. Thank you very much for arranging that. People like me like to garden. The compost is terrific there. So thank you.
Good to hear.
And the price is right.
Okay, anybody else? You can line up and then you'll know who's waiting.
I think that would be helpful, just so that everybody's watching, looking, just if you can.
Line is massive. Dave Boulan, by the way, I noticed you've not been asking for that, for people to identify themselves.
I think everybody has so far.
Well, each time, right? We were led to understand that for recording purposes and who said what, you were supposed to announce yourself each and every time.
Everybody has.
Fill out the form, so already you're slipping here. Anyhow, good work. In terms of PSAT, whatever you're going to do, that's your bailiwick. And resource management, I'm not quite sure what that is, except what I'd say is I'm really surprised why that's in the packet. I see it's a piece of transaction of the business, but I'm not sure. There was no comment, as one of the previous commenters had stood up here and said, things like this are just, they're there. There's no addendum to them. There's no supporting information on them. They're going to file for something, but it's not clear why they're there and what's going to be discussed. And if we don't know what's going to be discussed, it's really hard to comment on it. So that's item C. In terms of item B, and I don't know, we have to go in order because Mr. Gaduzian didn't say, he just said we could comment on all of them, okay? In terms of the compost center, I see it looks like we're going to support Hellertown again. I notice if we even attempt to withdraw between now and 2029, we will have to pay the full amount through 29, including the 2.5% increase each and every year, okay? Maybe wonderful compost, but guess what? It's still full of, you ask the people that run that and they'll tell you if you put it in your garden, you're gonna have a bunch of weeds, so. I think it's outrageous the amount of money that we're giving and guaranteeing them over the course of that many years. We were told with the library that it was a matter that the state mandated it. Is that true with the compost center too? State mandates that?
Other comments?
Anne Marie Slavic. Just as I objected, in my opinion, of the contract with the library for such a long period of time, I also do object to the compost center contract. So I did speak with someone who has experience in public government administration, and they said you really never are supposed to make contracts for more than 3 years with public funding. So that was just somebody who knows something about government. I think it's ridiculous that we're making all these deals with these groups, again, at Hellertown and community. I just would like to see our money stay, our taxpayer dollars stay in the community in Lower Saucon Township. And I don't understand why we couldn't just have our own compost center. It just seems again, and I will continue to beat a dead horse, that we are completely just open our pockets and open our wallet to whatever little group comes to us and wants money, and then we make these contracts for long periods of time. And again, I would like to see our legal department here, our legal mind, kind of realize that we shouldn't be making contracts that we can't get out of without spending a lot of money. Again, I'm just concerned for the taxpayers in this township, and I am concerned of the direction that this council is going.
Do we have anybody else? Thank you.
Hi, Andrea Witchen, Lower Saucon Township. My company's name is iSpring, and it's a sustainability consulting firm. One of our biggest projects was redesigning the entire waste removal layout of Swarthmore College. Along with that, we helped them design a campus-wide composting program. I was appalled when we lost the compost center with Hellertown that we shared with Hellertown. And I was disgusted at the mediocre solution that was provided to us in the meantime, including not composting what went there, but rather paying someone to haul it away where we had no control over what happened to it. It was an irresponsible and inappropriate solution to a problem that the previous council created themselves. So as a sustainability consultant and somewhat of an expert in composting, I am delighted to see that we are again going to collaborate with Hellertown and use the far more sophisticated space that we have in our own township to continue with composting the way that it used to happen. Now, if we want to have pristine compost available to us, we can certainly decide to spend an enormously larger amount of money to do that. It is possible. I have seen it done. I don't think that there is at the moment any sense within the township that that's something that we want to do. But I certainly agree with the idea that it is better to use whatever best practices are available to us within our budgetary constraints rather than choose some half-assed measure that has actually been costing us more money. So I 100% support the reinstatement of the agreement for composting, and I look forward to having that facility available to me in the future. Thank you very much for working this out.
Welcome. Do we have other comments? All right, seeing none, we will go to item 8A, to authorize attendance at the annual PSATS conference and our voting delegate. So we all received conference information, and I think those who wanted to attend have notified Stacy. I assume she has all the names and information. So let's see, how do I need to do this? I just authorize, do it separate to appoint the voting delegate? Do we do that separate or make it all in one thing?
Well, yeah, we have to name a person.
Yes, so do we have somebody who's interested in being a?
I've been doing it for a long time. I'm not interested to do it this year.
I'll vote. I'll go. I'll be the voting delegate if you'd like.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve Victoria as the voting delegate
Second.
for the 2025 conference. Can we have a roll call?
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Optoff Cordero?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carochi and Mr. Bononis absent.
All right, and then I'll make a separate motion to approve council attendance at the PSATS conference. That is being held May 4th through the 7th, 2025.
And I'll second that, but I'd like you to amend your motion to include that the township will cover the following costs: the registration fees, lodging, mileage, meals excluding alcohol to a specified daily limit. You could amend your motion.
Okay,
I'll
I'll
second.
amend my motion to use the wording that's described up here in the public comment.
Right.
So cover the cost for registration fee, lodging, mileage, and meals to the specified daily limit.
Okay, I'll second that, thank you.
Can we have a roll call?
Ms. DeLeon,
Yes?
Ms. Altough Cordero,
Yes.
Ms. Ray.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Croce and Mr. Bononis absent.
All right. Next item, 8B, is the 2025 to 2029 Compost Center Agreement with Hellertown Borough. Do you want to talk about this?
Sure. Forwarded to you pursuant to a letter from my office dated December 19, 2024, was the agreement reached between the township and the compost center. It's set forth, and if you have any particular questions, I can address them. It's set forth for a term. It has the fees set forth, an annual increase. It reflects the various credits and the agreement reached in the mutual release that was already signed between the Borough of Hellertown and the township, and it's for the consideration of council for signature.
Right. So I would make a motion to accept this agreement and sign this.
I'll second.
We have discussion, Priscilla?
I think that I'm very pleased. It is what it is, how we got to this agreement, based on, unfortunately, things that happened that I wasn't in favor of. And we got it back. It might not have, it's different, but it's workable, I think. And I'd like to have this be a start of mending our relationship with Hellertown, not only this, but with the partnership and the library. We're just on a roll forward. So I really think this is going to be a good year. So I totally support this. Thank you, Steve, for your work in getting this together.
Victoria, do you have comments?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Priscilla. This was one of the very important concerns for our residents. I won't belabor it, but we used to have the compost center operating jointly between Lower Saucon and Hellertown. Our public works department participated in that, and it was a joint operation. In 2022 to 2023, we lost that joint partnership, along with Hellertown Area Library issues and a whole slew of things. There was litigation, which took most of last year to resolve. But I am very pleased that Mr. Kazuzian had worked so diligently in getting that worked out, and that we can now hopefully return to a place where our community works as Saucon Valley community. We drive through each other's municipalities each day. Our children go to school together. They play on the various sports leagues together, and there's no reason why we can't work collaboratively for the benefit of our residents receiving composting materials and having a place to place their yard waste materials, but also for the betterment of the environment. Having this compost center is an important component to doing our part and remaining sustainable as best as we can. And when we passed when we agreed to resolve the legal matters, I presented at length a detailed analysis of the financial comparisons between what we currently, or what we had been doing in years 2024 and I think 2023, the cost of we had a yard waste facility, and the cost to man that yard waste facility and pay for removing the yard waste to another location, comparing that to the pay for service that this contract entails. So what will happen moving forward is we just pay a fee, but the residents return to the services that they were accustomed to, being able to drop off their yard waste matter whenever the compost center is open, and then also retain composting materials, which was a great benefit to them however often they want. So that service will go back for our residents. But I think what is very nice is that we will be able to utilize our our public works employees in an efficient way with the other obligations that we have. We now have the Eastern Road Ball Field and other places, and I know that we had to hire more public works employees. So in total, this saves us a lot of money. And I appreciate the work in putting this agreement together, and I'm fully supportive of it.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I look forward to not having to look at our pile of debris sitting in the cornfield across from the high school. It's just terrible. And then, they would put a bin there and load it up and take it away. So this is much better. And the name of the facility, and always has been, is the Saucon Valley Compost Center. So it's for Saucon Valley. That's all my comment. Yes, it is a money savings. Did we have a roll call on this?
No.
No. Can we have a roll call?
Ms. Zaptov Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Deleon?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Carochi and Mr. Bononis absent.
All right. Next item C is, I'll abbreviate, Resource Environmental Management Act 14 notification. It was a notice of intent sent to us for PAG 03 coverage from Area Energy East. And this was something that I had questioned as well a number of times. What we had received was a cover letter, and it did refer to this notice of intent, which was not enclosed. So I asked about it several times. So apparently late this afternoon, I don't know.
We did receive it
how.
from the company. The intent of this letter, I reviewed it with our engineer. It's not that they are providing a permit to discharge. It is more of a permit to notify the municipalities that there is a company of sorts that may at some point come to the township and say that or go to DEP and say they have a notice of discharge. At least that's what our engineer had said. It's more or less a notice to provide to municipalities that they were unaware of somebody that was creating a business or creating a situation where that might potentially happen at some future point.
So now that we are aware, we have to review the document.
You have 30 days to respond. Mr. Calker said that you don't necessarily have to. It's just a formalized notice to let you know that there's a business over there that may at some point at a future date need to.
Right, but let's go beyond that. We have to review the document that they attached, that they sent us today, and be ready.
If you wish, we could ask for an extension because we've received the application today.
Right, absolutely. Those two things need to be done.
Just so I understand, this is not a notice to discharge where because with respect, everybody did everything that they could have done, but we didn't receive the actual paperwork until today. So I have not had an opportunity to review. This is a 216-page application that came in this afternoon. But I know that we're doing our due diligence and placing it on the agenda because we got a cover letter identifying the application, but without the application. We got that in December 11th or something, but the application of 216 pages wasn't enclosed. So it's like somebody sends you a letter and says, enclosed, please find, and the enclosure is absent. That's what we received in December. But now we do have this 216-page application, but I guess Mr. Cucker has identified that this is a notice that we will get a notice
If
in the future.
If at some point there would be a notice in the future, this is putting the township, to allow the township to know that this company could potentially in the future have that situation happen where they would need a notice of discharge.
Okay, so I think I would be in agreement in wanting to have additional time to review this, and just identify to the DEP that, you know, we're concerned about it, and then we just respectfully ask for another 30 days so we can consider it and decide how we need to proceed. It looks like it's fine, it's just.
And I can, if council wishes, we can send a letter to them within the 30-day period to let them know that we want
Yes.
time to review.
Yes, please do.
Is that direction enough, or do you need a motion?
I think that's just direction.
It's just direction.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, and then, so when I saw this and read it, my thought was perhaps we should have things like this get routed to EAC as well for review. This cover letter per se gave us anything really to think about, but the rest of the heap that came in today would probably be good for somebody to whirl through. So that would just be my suggestion.
We can do that.
So I don't think we need to.
Maybe there be a direction that any type of environmental or stormwater, any type of project that implicates stormwater management or environmental impact be sent to EAC for review regardless of, you know.
And maybe some of
for
it's just
requirement.
informational too, you know, or.
Yeah, I agree.
It depends, you know, depending on what it is, if they would need to give input or just FYI type of information.
We can do that.
Thank you. Yeah, so then I guess we don't need any official motion on this.
No, I can just send a letter.
Okay. Next is council and staff reports. Kathy?
I have nothing other than I'll make sure that the agreement and public notice has gone out with regarding the compost center.
Okay. Priscilla?
Yeah, I want to just announce that the Heller Homestead on January 14th is having a wine and cheese with an art gallery from Maxine DiMaggio, she passed away in February, and she lived at Society Hill, and she was a longtime volunteer, and her estate donated many art objects to the Conservancy, and the art gallery has them displayed, and they were displayed at the Christmas party earlier in December, but we decided to keep them still, you know, the exhibit's still up, and it'll be a wine and cheese on January 14th from 6 to 8, so the public is invited. I'm also looking forward to 2025. Like I said, I'm excited about the library, the compost center, mending relationships, and working together. So that's my New Year's forecast. You know, I think that we need to do that. And I heard loud and clear from the residents, and that's the direction I'm going. So Happy New Year, everybody. I hope your holidays were well. Look forward to 2025.
Victoria, do you have a report?
I first want to say for the Saucon Rail Trail Commission, I want to reiterate that they are having a ribbon cutting this month to to celebrate the opening of the Preston Lane Bridge, which is on DeSales University property, but is, an important part of the rail trail currently, and I shouldn't say currently because the bridge is technically open. So if you're using the rail trail, you'll be able to use the bridge in Center Valley at DeSales University. However, prior to that, the trail kind of meandered around it, and it wasn't the direct route that would be appropriate for the rail trail. So it was a big project with funding from Saucon Township and also DeSales University. So they're doing a ribbon cutting this month to celebrate that. So I wanted to reiterate anybody who's interested to please come out for that. I'm trying to find the exact date, but I can't see it. I don't know. Do we have what's the date? Do you know? They didn't, okay. I didn't see anything. Yeah, we'll post it on our website and do like maybe a constant contact blast, because I know a lot of people use that rail trail. Yeah, so she says it's very pretty, which it is. So that's an important update. I want to thank the community again for their patience and their input and their thoughts about everything that we've done. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished last year with settling all the litigation, ending all of the wasteful legal spending on lawsuits that broke our community apart. And now that we've been able to resolve most of those, there's some things that are still outstanding that we have to work toward and be mindful about, landfill being one of them, which we'll see how that works out this year with various pieces of litigation that are in court. But otherwise, I look forward to serving everybody this year.
Can I say something before I forget? Can I ask Kathy if you can publicize that wine and cheese? I don't remember if I saw it on Facebook. I think I sent it to you. Can you do that, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I think I received it one way or another. I don't know if it was constant contact or if I saw the Facebook.
Was it from the township? I know I posted it everywhere.
One way or another, but I don't remember which. All right, I was just having to look at my calendar to try to remember the last few weeks. So a couple of things that we did since our last council meeting. We actually attended the Saucon Creek Watershed Association's meeting in December and presented them with their check from the ARPA funding, and they were really excited and happy to receive that. They have a lot of great projects underway. We also met with the Hellertown Area Ministerium had their, I believe it was called Blue Night service, and it was December 21st, so it's the longest night of the year. Special service that they do for people that maybe aren't so happy at Christmas, and we gave them an award too from our ARPA funding. They were thrilled and excited to receive that as well. And upcoming on the list, I know this has been out on the township Facebook, so you can probably find it out there somewhere. On January 21st, we've been promoting with EAC. It's actually the Penn State Extension does a lot of free online courses, and this one is for people that have private water supplies and want to understand about doing testing of your water supplies. So that's 7 o'clock on the 21st. It's an online thing, so if you have to look for the Facebook post, and you can register online for that. The Penn State Extension courses are excellent. I attend many of them. I think that's all I have.
I just realized I see, at least right now, I believe that the ribbon cutting ceremony for Rail Trail is going to be Saturday, January 18th at 1 o'clock at the Preston Lane Bridge. So we can get confirmation of that, but I'm pretty sure that's the date.
So that's this set. No, that's next. It's next Saturday.
Saturday the 18th. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Steve, do you have a report for us?
I do not.
All All right, we don't have our engineer tonight, so we can open it up for public comment for agenda or non-agenda items for this meeting. Do you have anybody who wants to speak?
Hi, Andrea Witchen, Lower Saucon Township. My question is on a non-agenda item that was always an agenda item, and that is that there have not been any council minutes approved for quite a few months, nor have there been any produced for approval. I realized that with the things that were going on, that would have meant we were publishing War and Peace every 2 weeks. But regardless, it's difficult when you're watching it on the live stream to really understand what's happening. Now, I don't know how whoever the poor person is who has to create those minutes can possibly figure out what the heck is going on with all of the over-talking and the misbehavior and all of that. But I would think, I'm assuming from a legal perspective, we need to have officially approved minutes from the meetings. Is that, if that's correct, can we get some idea of when we might be catching up on what those minutes should cover? I think I haven't read any since maybe September. I didn't go back and check exactly, but I think we probably need to get caught up on that.
We are working on it. I've had other things more pressing at the moment, which I apologize for, but budgets go first.
But if we need to, if we need to pay for additional person power to do that, we should do that. It shouldn't be that Kathy's up to her ears and doesn't have time to do it. I mean, you can hire a transcriber, a transcriptionist for a certain number of dollars an hour from a temp agency whose whole job could be to come in after every meeting and transcribe those minutes. And I think if that's the solution, it shouldn't be lay it on Kathy's head, but instead put some money on the table to hire someone who can do that. I've done transcription. I can't imagine how a person is going to do that intelligently based on the nonsense that went on here. But if we could, I think we need to get caught up.
We are.
Thank you.
Can I just make maybe a direction to that extent? For the staffs, hopefully for their benefit. When they are reviewing minutes, if there are two people talking at the same time, just write inaudible. Don't try to separate who's speaking and who's not. Just write inaudible. I'm not going to criticize you because you didn't mention what I was saying when somebody else was talking and I would hope that somebody else wouldn't. If there's obviously the motions and what the votes on the motions are important. You know, and when there are just one person speaking, I'm thinking that the software that we paid for, that's supposed to be like AI, can at least transcribe what one person is saying. But I don't want to waste money on and giving everybody headaches and everything else on trying to make sure everybody's word over somebody else's word gets counted. That's not the purpose of minutes. So that would be my direction. I don't know what the other majority of council feels about that.
Well, tonight should be a breeze.
Well, they're backed up, so I'm just saying. If there is a conflict with residents or other council members speaking over, we should just say inaudible.
Yeah, I've already said that to Kathy. Remember, I've had that conversation.
I'm just saying as a direction to help them.
No, I know, but I've had that conversation with Kathy over the months.
We will work on it.
All right, we're still in the public comment period. Do we have others who want to speak on agenda or non-agenda?
I don't know why everybody waits all the time. Just come up.
Anne Marie
Come up and
Slavic.
talk.
I just want to reiterate that it seems like we have a lot of things that we're discussing in this township that are referring to items like compost centers and libraries and things like that. And I really appreciate that. Rail trails and wine and cheese at the art place, which I love wine and cheese and I love art. I love all of that, but I would love to see a few more people on council that have a business mind. We need to have a business mind in government. I know it's a tough one. We can't focus all on environmental purposes and environmental agendas because we're going to bankrupt our township. That's what we're going to do. So as of right now, I think that we have to understand that somebody in this township, including treasurers, including people doing budgets, their brain needs to work a little bit more on finance and budgets, money being spent, and the fact that the landfill in our township is a very big moneymaker for us. And even though the taxpayers are out there having a good time and everything's great and no problems here and nobody's paying attention, the three of you just said, isn't this great that we have this meeting going on and nobody's objecting and nobody's bringing any objections up and nobody's arguing? That's great. When you have government that doesn't argue, that doesn't compromise, that one side gets overspoken by the other, and there's no sense of what does this government do? What do we really do? What's the purpose of our government? It's not environmental issues 24/7. It can't be. You have to have one side, and then you have to have some sort of compromise, and you have to have some sort of agreement that the businesses in this township are important because they provide us with tax dollars that we need. So please just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Do you have anybody else?
Dave Boulan, I agree with that. What the past speaker just said, it is important to have business sense. And I think that the two people that aren't here now, the reason that we get into these discussions that get heavy, and I don't agree with over-talking people because I've been the victim of one of the council people that's here now just yelling, shouting in my face. So I've been there. In terms of these agreements and everything's hunky-dory, in terms of how, I don't agree with that either. In my view, things got swept right under the carpet here, and that's unfortunate. And I just wonder what Judge Dolly said when he saw what was going on after he'd ordered that the Howell Library turn over its statements, and they next thing you know, bam, this council drops the lawsuit. I think that's terrible. I think the spreadsheet that Victoria has put together, I need to look at that a little bit. But indeed, if we did save money, I think that's probably a good thing. I'm not opposed to that. As a matter of fact, I think it's a good thing. All right? In terms of whether it looks good or bad, that sounds like our friend over there running the hospital, looking across the creek, the Stinky Creek, and saying, wow, gee, that place looks terrible up there, that landfill, or whatever. So those are bogus. Those are emotional raising issues, and I really don't buy into that, okay? So let's see how it goes. I don't agree with the Howell thing, and there's more to it than meets the eye. So thank you.
Do we have anybody else? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
So
Time.
moved.
Huh? You're going to second?
What?
Did you second?
Second?
All
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I made a motion to adjourn. Time is 8:48. Huh? Oh, you had more stuff?
No, I don't know.
You don't want to adjourn?
No, I do. That's good.
You can. Oh, did you have more too? Sorry.
No, she's
I
asking
can
for a roll
unadjourn.
call.
You need a roll call for that.
Does it? Do we?
I don't think so.
Sometimes we don't. All in favor?
I.
That's the only time we do that.
I guess if we thought we had a majority, that would oppose.